I think my gut feeling is that regulation is here to stay. That, in 20 years' time, we will look back at the kind of, 2000 to 2020 as kind of the crazy time when people were allowed to do whatever they wanted. And how was that allowed to happen? I think regulation is going to become much more normal. Of course, you're in the States, and I appreciate that you're in a completely different political context. And so probably what I'm saying seems completely crazy to you. But I feel legislation is here to stay, and that it's going to become just like any other area. You look at any kind of area you look at women's rights. People at one stage thought it was crazy to think that women should have rights, and that we might need to have legislation to force people to give women rights and protect them and look after them. And yet we now find it completely normal. And I think that's what's going to happen with this, that we are going to find that regulation in the online world is normal.
If there is a flaw in the law, where do you see that flaw, and how would you fix it?
In this particular, in terms of the Online Safety Act, so quite a few. So I definitely don't think the law is perfect at all. Let me just see if I can slightly generalise. I don't know that. I suppose one area that I really am interested in is this idea of adults and what we do about adults being able to see what they see. And I do worry that there is still material that we're going to be allowing people who are over 18 to watch that could be affecting them and pushing them towards extreme behaviour that we potentially do need to think about. And that's currently not something that the Online Safety Act at the moment protects people against. I know that's very controversial, and I know a lot of people won't like that. But that's an area that I think is likely to be something that we're going to see more legislation on in the future. There's so many flaws in the way that the legislation is currently worded, and that's just going to come out over the next few years. So let me give you an example. When you say that social media companies have to remove illegal material, so if we take something like hate speech, for example, whether or not something constitutes hate speech, in many cases requires you to show that there is an intention on behalf of the person who wrote it to stir up hatred against sexual orientation, for example. That's going to be very difficult to be able to determine on the basis of one post. You won't be able to determine what the intention of that post was. So arguably, if you focus purely on the removal of illegal material, hardly anything is going to constitute illegal, because it's going to be so easy for a social media company to say, well, I didn't know what the intention of the post was, so I couldn't be certain that it was illegal. So I'm not really sure there's going to be much impact from that point of view.